Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 128, 3 Reasons Your Email Strategy's Failing.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome to another action-packed, exciting episode of Small Biz Life.
With an ominous title.
Yeah, I know. So, you know, you may think, well, my email strategy is not failing, but is it really getting you what you want?
I think to a degree, most of the people I know think at some level their email strategy isn't working, except for the people who are probably high-end online marketers who think they have the best email system ever, which is probably better than mine.
Yeah, but these are kind of the things that we've noticed, not only like when our business is working really well, but also working with other people and helping them improve their email strategy. These are kind of the 3 things that we've noticed that when you like tweak these 3 things, you will get much better results out of your email. Okay, so I guess we start off. In case you're new to the show, I'm Kristen Ingram.
And I'm getting right into it, Jeffrey W. Ingram.
Right. We're just so excited to talk about this because this was kind of eye-opening for us, you know, when we started changing these things. So number one, so we're going to talk about 3 things today. The first one is that you may have the wrong idea of what your email list really is.
Yeah, and I know we did. I know a lot of these things, you know, were kind of shocking to us as they were realized. But, you know, the thing is, sometimes when we have an email list, we confuse some things that go into an email list with what an email list is there for. Right,
exactly. So, you know, I think the first one is like, if you just think that your email list is a newsletter list, you're doing it wrong.
Yes, it's a nice thing to do to make it easier for your people to get content custom made and delivered right to their email box. It might actually get them to open up your emails, but an email list is not just designed to deliver a newsletter.
Right. And the email service providers have gotten really smart when it comes to all these newsletters that people are sending out. And they're saying, you know what? A lot of these newsletters never get read. So we're just not going to put them in the inbox. We're going to put them in the spam box. We're going to put them in the promotions tab. So one thing that we're finding is that instead of sending out these newsletters with all these different parts and all these graphics and whatnot, plain text email is delivering much better. Now, I know that doesn't work for everybody. If you're doing something that is visual, something that is crafty, you probably need to have pictures.
Some form of pictures, but try not to formalize it into like a newsletter type of delivery system because one, it's just kind of dated at this point. People, you know, newsletters made a lot more sense before email.
Right. And you got to remember too that most people are reading emails on their phones, and some of these formats, when you put together a newsletter with the multiple columns and whatnot, it does not translate well to mobile.
You know, it's one thing to not create websites mobile first. Your emails need to be mobile first. Most people you know who have a phone, how often do they go to the computer to check an email?
Yeah, I would say that right now I probably do 90% of my email on my phone.
And the only time I do it is when I'm at my computer. I'm like, oh, let me go check to see if I got that email from the thing I just signed up for.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, and probably just as bad, and we all did this. I will admit we did this. It's not a way to auto email your blog posts.
Now, there's nothing wrong with create original content within an email to try and get a call to action to drive traffic to your site. Perfectly acceptable. But if you put the blog post and the email, it's not original content coming to them. And it's not that compelling.
Right. And there's so many other ways now that people are consuming blog content other than, the email that goes out. And I think, if you want to keep people engaged, you can't just regurgitate what's on your website. You can write an intro, you can write a story that's in addition to, that blog post. But don't just send out an RSS feed of the blog post.
Yeah.
I know it's really easy, but it's a way to really wreck your email list.
Yeah, because essentially people will stop going into them, or they might occasionally click in on them. But if they don't click in on them enough, then it might just go away completely. The better thing to do would be to put together something to try and drive them to the blog post. Yeah. Especially in today's world where if you're doing long form blog posts as content, which is a great strategy if you're trying to build up SEO over time, the problem is, a long form blog post goes on forever on a phone.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And one thing I noticed too is that the people who are still sending out the RSS feeds of their blogs, those are not landing in my inbox anymore. Those are showing up on my promotions tab. They're showing up on my, and a lot of them are actually going to spam. Because Google says, well, you're not really opening these. So
which is true.
We're not going to send them in your inbox anymore. So, and the problem is like if people aren't seeing your emails when there's something you really want to tell them, you can't.
Yep, they can't see those either.
Okay. And then the last one is that you're not connected to the people on your list. You may think that you are because you're sending them newsletters and you're sending them RSS feeds of your blog posts.
It's like the idea, and there's a couple very easy traps to fall into. And one is, this person signed up for my email list because they want the content. You probably offer them an incentive to get on your email list, or they're your friend or family who you begged to get on your list early on just to get people there. One, they probably don't care about your email content. You have to lure them into that every time. And two, they might not even remember who you are.
Yeah. And that's, I think it's really important that, we've always kind of talked about respecting people who are on your email list and not sending them crap. But I think a lot of times, like, well, my newsletter's not crap and my blog posts aren't crap.
And they might, and we're not saying they are.
But the thing is, it's like, what are you doing to keep people engaged and opening your emails?
Because think about it, it's like you might have the most brilliant article inside of that newsletter you just sent to me, inside of the email you just sent to me, whether or not it's a newsletter. If I don't open it, I don't know how good the content is. And if you don't have an email title that catches my attention in the flurry of hundreds of emails I get every day, I'm probably going to go. I used to actually save them, and now I don't. I've stopped doing that. I just go, archive it. Thank you, Google Inbox, for making that so easy for me to do.
Well, and the thing is, guys, if you're listening to this, if you take one thing away from this podcast episode, stop putting generic titles on your emails. I'm getting them, there's some people that I'm subscribed to their newsletter list, because I wanted to get reminders that their podcast was coming out. And when, I get those emails, it's like, my super duper podcast, episode 32. And you're like, no, really? Because that's not compelling for me to open it up.
And the thing is, and you've also spoiled the point of the email. So now, if the only reason I get your email's newsletter is to know when your podcast episode comes out, you've told me in the subject line, I don't open it, and maybe I go get your podcast until Google goes, he doesn't really look at this one. I'm just going to start putting it in the spam.
Right, exactly. So, make sure, don't have your email subject line be, weekly newsletter or, this week's blog post. Have it be something compelling.
And if you use the indicators to show it's from you, do that for product stuff, and maybe I should do that for something like HQ, where I could put in and say, hey, this is the Small Biz HQ email. But the thing is, they're more searchable for the people, but they're also a thing to go, oh, I'm going to look at that later.
Yeah. So, that's the thing, make sure that you're really connecting with the people on your list, and send them good stuff. Make sure it's original. Okay. So the first thing, is, you've got the wrong idea of what your email list, should be for. The second one, is your avatar. And there's two things that spring from this. And this is like the thing, like I feel sometimes like I'm banging my head against the wall when I talk to business owners, because, and I totally get this, because when I first started my accounting firm, I wanted to be everybody's CPA. Okay. And now that I'm 10 years plus in business, I am very particular about who I want to work with, right? I have my niche. I know who they are. And, but it took me time to get there. Don't take as long as I did to get there. No. Okay. You need to know who your avatar is. Okay. And I think there are a lot of people like, I don't want to have one because I just want to talk to everybody.
Because then I might lose a few sales here or a few sales there, which you still might not, even if you have the avatar.
Well, and here's the thing, like, here's one thing I'm seeing a lot, right? And I'm seeing this like all over the place. So, there's some people that are like, I finally decided that I have an avatar, but it's not everybody. And I've got people who like my page, who are in my group, who are on my email list that are not my avatar. So I'm just going to start over. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yes. I have bought products, and expensive products, from people I'm not their avatar. Why? Because the argument they made to their avatar, I was close enough to understand, to internalize it for myself and buy their product.
And that's the thing, I think that, I think a lot of people are resistant to creating an avatar because they're afraid that they have to start all over. Don't do that.
Probably missing more sales because you don't have an avatar than you gain by not having one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, it's really important to know who you are selling to, because your message is not going to resonate with everyone. And the problem is when you don't have somebody you're talking to, then your message doesn't resonate with anybody.
Now, if you want to prove me wrong, it's simple. Make me a social media image for everyone. Go put it in the Facebook group or just reply to one of our emails and send it to us. I want to see the social media message that works for everyone.
Doesn't exist. Nope. So the other thing is that, you have an avatar, you spent all the time creating one, it's like we spent like a whole month, I think, in HQ on avatar. So you've spent the time, you've done the work, you've created this person. And then the problem is like you ignore them. Because again, that voice keeps creeping up in the back of your mind that says, no, this group of people's too small. I need to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And so you start to ignore your avatar.
Or I think more common than that voice is it's yourself. And I'm really bad at this. And, it's like I've owned the Erratic Explorers domain for years.
For a really long time, yeah.
I really want to use the Erratic Explorers domain. Someday I will use the Erratic Explorers domain. But every time I think about it, it doesn't really make sense. It's like, we Kristen used to have a blog called Meals Outside the Box. Not that one. No. Payment Free Life.
Payment Free Life is still up.
It's still up, but you used to do content for it all the time.
Yeah.
Originally it was called Cling to Cash, which was very meaningful to Kristen and I. And it made perfect sense. And to us, it's like, you can cling in as cash. And then it was about, getting debt free. Okay, that's pretty cool.
We thought it was catchy.
But you know what? If you have to explain the joke to people, the inside jokes are hard to get out there. Once you have an audience, you can have inside jokes with your audience. It's like, I know all of the time, and I see this very frequently with my other show, where Michael, who's my co-host on that show, and I will say something in that group, and someone will bring up the joke from the show. And like, okay, that's cool. But you can do that once you have the audience, but they have to be there as it's created. And even then, it's not a smart thing to rely on that to move forward because, being commercial means people understand what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, there's, have you ever watched, I see this sometimes during the Super Bowl where, a company will roll out this brand new ad and everybody's like, what the hell was that? And it's because people don't get the joke. Somebody on the marketing team thought that this was hilarious.
Laughing.
Right. And then the audience didn't get it. And sometimes that happens when you roll out content. And people don't get the joke.
It's going to happen sometimes, but you have to be very cognizant that people aren't always going to understand the cleverness. But when you're trying to be commercial, when you're trying to sell stuff, you need to be as clear as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So,
to your avatar.
Yes, exactly. So, the first one is, that you have the wrong idea of what an email list is. The second one is your avatar. Either you don't have one or, you ignore them. Okay. And then number 3, and we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about this one because I think that this is where a lot of people, really mess up. So you're sending out those cool emails. It's brand new original content. You're speaking to your avatar. You really got them dialed in. Number 3, you don't have a strategy for what you're doing with your email or your avatar.
And I know Kristen and I are improving at this. But the problem is, we think, okay, I need a strategy for my content. I need a strategy for Kitty Wars. I need a strategy for social media and for all of these different areas. I need a strategy, and we end up containerizing all of them into their own thing, not realizing what am I trying to do overall my business right now.
Right.
That needs to be the guiding hand of the strategy for my website, for my social media, for my email, for my blog, for whatever I'm doing. It all needs to be connected in one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think let's talk about kind of 4 things with strategy that I think are really important. And these are things that have really helped us move the business forward. So the first point, with strategy is you're making your incentive, your opt-in offer too complicated.
Yes. And this is so simple because people always say, show off your value and your free stuff. And I agree with that. But the problem is it can't be complicated.
Right.
Whatever you want them to do needs to be simple.
Right. And that's why the most effective opt-ins are webinars because they can be consumed in an hour. They're 1-page printables, they're checklists, they're shorter things. One of the things that we learned going through this process, one of the first opt-ins that we had for Small Biz Life was the Dreamcatcher assessment. The Dreamcatcher assessment was a 20-page thing. And it was, it's a lot of work to put together. And it's actually something that we have developed into a new product. Okay. But the problem was it was too much to do for a free product. And what happened is people will be like, oh, I'm going to go do this. And then I'll come back around to the offer that they have. But the problem was that it was so much work to do, it was hard to catch people in order to sell that offer to them later, right? And that's the thing, the reason you have an incentive, okay, and we don't really have this on the list, the reason that you have an opt-in is because you have to offer stuff for sale afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm seeing way too many people who have, this awesome free offer, right? This thing that they're giving away. And then there's no sale afterwards. They're not offering a paid product. There's no email sequence later on that says, hey, buy this thing. It's just the freebie, right? And we did that when we first started, okay?
And there might be a period of time, but you should have a plan on how long that's going to last until the product's available, or at least for pre-sale.
Right. But I think what a lot of people are doing is they jump into list building. And we just spent this month talking about list building in HQ. And the one thing that we try to impress upon our members is that if you are going to go into a list building strategy, the first thing you need to do is have something to sell to people. Because if you don't have that, all the list building in the world is not going to help you grow your business.
And I think this is something we said there is it doesn't need to be your product. It could just be affiliate sales. Like if you have some good affiliate agreements set up, it could be a plan to try and sell that as you're building maybe a bigger, more expensive product. But the thing is, you need some way to offset the cost because until you can really start putting some money, especially early on, to use ads to try and drive traffic to an offer, you really aren't going to have the ability to build a good list.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but if you make that incentive too complicated, then people never get to the next step, which is to buy.
Or they go, wow, this was a lot. It's oppressive, but I'm afraid to buy the product because that must be 100 times bigger than this or more complicated than this. People will take the attributes of what you give them. They will extrapolate them out to your other work, which might or might not be true.
Right. So that's why the next one is really important, that the incentive does not make sense with the core offer. So,
and this was Dreamcatcher was the same problem for us, wasn't it?
yes. Dreamcatcher did not make sense with what we were trying to sell afterwards. And I see that a lot. People do is they're thinking of what is this cool thing that I can come up with so people will get on my list. And they don't think about, and later on at some point, I am going to try to sell them this product. And the free giveaway and the thing that you're going to try to sell them, they don't connect with each other. And I think that it's critically important that you develop your offer first. What are you going to sell? And then say, okay, what is something that I can give away for free that will tie into that offer that I'm going to make to get them to buy something from me? It's really important that you do that.
Yes.
Okay. So, we're trying to tell people, make sure that you come up with your product first, then come up with the free giveaway. Okay. So the third thing is that the incentive is not proportional value to the core offer.
Yeah. If I give a simple checklist with the 5 myths on how to
build a fossil butt,
avoid being destroyed by a fossil butt, then I might attract people who know what a fossil butt is to that offer.
Or who might want to be like, well, how do I avoid fossil butts?
I know, these fossil butts frighten me. I need to know more about these fossil butts. And so what happens is, I do that, but then I try and sell like a $10,000, high-end program to them at the end of it. And
a zombie mitigation tool. It's a $10,000 zombie mitigation tool.
Michael's zombie protection kit. So, the thing is, it's really tough to take someone directly from, a low-end incentive that's simple and small to a high-end offer, which is the reason why, especially like if you follow someone like Russell Brunson is really big on having a value ladder, because sometimes even to get them to that bigger offer, you might have to sell them something else first to build up trust with them.
Right. Or I've seen people do, like 1-hour webinars and then try to sell like a $10 product.
Yes.
And it's weird because it's really funny because there are a lot of people, even if they're not marketers, that they understand how this world works. Okay. Or at least they have some idea. And so if they're going to sit down and you're going to spend an hour like teaching them on a webinar, they're kind of expecting like a big ask at the end. That's where you're selling like your $1,000 product. Okay. Or your $500 product. And when they get to the end, they're like, okay, and then I've got this thing and it's like $9. And they're like, what? And it's not what they're expecting. And you have a bad interrupt. Okay. And they kind of go, I don't get it. It doesn't work. Yeah. And then they close and they go away.
Or worse. And I know this is typically what hits my mind in those kind of scenarios is, so you're going to now sell me a book about what we just talked about? Because to me, this might have been worth $10.
Right.
Especially if you did a really good job and delivered value in this 1 hour long webinar, you get done and then you spend 15 minutes at the end, trying to sell me something that costs $10.
Yeah. It's a really odd disconnect. And I've seen it from both perspectives where because I love opting into lists because I love to see how people's funnels work. Right. And that's I've learned that from Russell. Russell's like, get into people's funnels, learn what they're doing. And I've done it. Like I've signed up and be like, wow, this is a really cool checklist, and it's like a 1-page printable. And then like, and here's our course for $9.97. And you're like, that
I don't know enough of you yet. Yeah.
Right. I don't know enough about you yet to give you almost $1,000. So you have to make sure that like, if you do that, and typically like, people have different opinions on this. What we've kind of found through our research is that if you're going to give somebody like a checklist or a short guide or, the 5 steps to something, then you're going to want to, the core offer after that should be like between,
or the next offer.
The next offer should be like $9 to like $29. So that's kind of the range you're looking at, something under $30.
And a little bit of that will be determined a lot by your industry, but it's a lower end cost point for your industry.
Yeah, exactly. But then after that, like if they buy that, then you can go to the next level and you can keep going up from there.
Because too, like, and we've talked about the before, Fisher Investments, if you're going to give me like a free, like offer and I need a $500,000 to actually belong, to be able to join, which means I have to put a big investment into you. It better not be a 1-page checklist.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they send you lots of guides and things. Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing, and those are people who don't have a strategy, is they're hoping for sales. They're not planning for sales. And we were
really bad with this.
We were really bad for this. We were just hoping, it's funny because like we talk about on the show how, we were just we put products out there and you think, well, okay, people are just going to buy them, and it's funny because we talk about this because we had done that before and I can tell you it doesn't work.
Where you kind of chuck in somewhere in a PS or mixed into like a blog post or something like, oh, you should really go check out our product, maybe over time with enough traffic, you maybe you get 1 out of 10,000 people to opt in that way. That'd probably be pretty good. But, the thing is, that's hoping. Even if there's a sort of kind of, there's a place for salesy and the place for not so salesy way to come over onto people. But at some point, if you're trying to sell stuff, you have to be salesy.
Right.
And remember, you're trying to bring this product or service to someone, and you think that you can actually help in their life in some way by giving them this product. I would hope. I'd hope that's why you're in business. I think the people who listen to this show, that's what you're trying to do. Make the ask. But it's not just like go click on this and go buy this thing where I don't really even tell you much about it.
Right, exactly. So you've got to have a plan. And that's why, one of the things that we've been playing with, and I absolutely love this. God, it makes my life so much easier. So Russell Brunson has a product called Funnel Scripts. And basically the way I describe it to people, it is like Mad Libs for copywriting. So it will help you write compelling headlines, which you talked about, like there's an email headline generator. There's a module that helps you write sales copy. It will write the emails for you. It will write the copy, if you want to do webinars, it will help you write that copy.
And in and of itself, all of itself would be very overwhelming because there's so many different things that you can do that you can generate in here. But there's one PDF, linkable PDF that makes it sort of the glue of it, which is like blueprints. If you're trying to sell something this way, here are all of the different parts you're going to need, all of the different copy you need to be able to do that.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's brilliantly done. And you just kind of, I leave that open in one tab and I click and I try and build all the parts and then I can start building pages.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a brilliant thing.
And Grant, this is like, when Chris and I were first getting into it, we're doing a lot of research on what we need, like psychology wise, to be better at sales. And then we found something that sort of prompts you in a way that it kind of works in an evergreen sense, that it's worked, before there was even computer opt-ins and will continue to work because people's psychology, people are people, whether they're consuming it in a different way, your mechanism to deliver it is what needs to change.
Right. And so, the thing is, I'll tell you, it's not like the cheapest product in the whole world. I think it's $497 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's reoccurring. It's like a subscription. So it's $497 a year. But I'll tell you, like, if you hire somebody to write a piece of copy for you, like a sales page, it's going to cost you at least $1,000. Okay, if you want a sales page written.
Someone good who's relatively new, probably 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000, 2,500.
Right. See, I mean, this is like an art. And the thing is, what Russell's team has done is they have built this tool that you type in phrases, and it prompts you like, you should have an ing verb, and they'll give you examples. And it gives you a good first draft. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to
massage some of the text, but the thing is, you get the psychology, you get the order you need to progress people through a sales process.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it'll do email copy. It did when we were doing the webinar. It came up with a whole bunch of tweets for us. And again, they weren't all perfect.
Nope.
But we could, we took them. Oh, these are really good. Oh, this just needs to be massaged a little bit. So all the tweets that went out were actually generated through this system. The sales copy, or I guess the opt-in copy for the webinar was made through this. Our HQ sales page is made through that, which if you want to check that out, that's smallbizlife.com/HQ. You can check that out. So this is something that we use on a regular basis. We absolutely love it. If it's something that you want to check out, please go to smallbizlife.com, click on the show notes for episode 128, because our affiliate link is in there. And we've said this before on the show, we do have affiliate links for certain products, but they're only products that we use and love. And this is one, I love this product.
Yeah.
It just makes our life so much easier.
Yep. And trust me, nothing's perfect. And talk to us, and we believe in telling what we believe is the truth on things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing with Russell stuff too is like if you try it out and you don't like it, there's always a guarantee. So this is one that we really like.
Ask yourself, do you have a guarantee? Sorry. Different episode.
So thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you will start thinking about your email strategy and your sales strategy in general. If this is something that you need help with, this is something that we work on in HQ on a regular basis. Check out smallbizlife.com/HQ for all the details, and think about joining us there.
Yep.
So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
This was Small Biz Life.